My camera is totally soaked and now I'm starting to be a little bit worried. Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto. I'm a photographer. Today we're going to be taking some rainy forest pictures on my Fuji GW690 Mark III camera, and of course I have a tripod with me just to make sure I can handle this darkness. Today I'm shooting Ilford Delta 400 black and white film. One reason for that is that I have an unfinished roll here in the camera, and that's why after I finish this roll there are 3 or 4 exposures left. I'm gonna load another roll of Delta 400 so I can develop also this film in the same batch with this roll which is in the camera right now. My first scene is here. I have taken picture of these roots before on my Minolta CL, Lights Minolta CL camera, but today it's a different type of weather and I really like those dead leaves, those light spots on the ground, and I hope this is going to turn out really nice on black and white. And we also want to take a light reading because we can. I have my Gosen DigiSky meter, which I don't like, but it's the only light meter I have. Let's see what the meter tells me. I have the wrong ISO setting on my meter. Hold on, I'll just switch that to ISO 400. Yes. And I want f16. So f16 and point it to the ground. And it tells me f16 2 seconds, which to me sounds about right in this kind of a gloomy, rainy weather. Let's make one exposure here. With film we have something called reciprocity failure, and that in real life means that effective film speed becomes slower with long exposures. So if the indicated exposure would be, let's say, 2 seconds, you would actually expose for 3 or 4 seconds. Usually the reciprocity failure starts to affect after about 1 second or beyond 1 second when the exposure is 1 second or longer than that. So I'm gonna expose for about 3 seconds. Some of you might be wondering if the camera is weather sealed, and the answer is no. Back in the day, weather sealing was not such a big issue as it is today. And this camera is fully mechanical, no electronics whatsoever, so I'm pretty sure it can take light rain like this. So far I have taken just a handful of rolls of film on this Fuji GW690 Mark III, but I already really like this camera, and I like that this camera makes me want to try something different, like taking pictures in a rainy forest, which is something I almost never have done before and never really wanted to do before. Alright, I found my second picture of the day. It is this dead tree trunk on the ground with some dead branches, obviously dead branches on a dead tree trunk sticking up, and I want to take a picture of these dead branches. Obviously another light reading is required. This time I'm gonna go for f5.6 because I want to have a relatively shallow depth of field, and I have a 90mm lens, so f5.6 will give me a relatively shallow depth of field at this distance, roughly 1.5 meters. Let's see what the light meter tells me. Let's first select f5.6. It's half a second, so I'm gonna go for 1 second just to make sure. Right, let's hit the shutter. 1 second. My camera is totally soaked and I'm starting to be a little bit worried. What if this camera can't take this rain? I already love this camera and it would really be a shame if it somehow started malfunctioning after this outing. Everything is soaked. My camera back is soaked, my film is soaked, and my fingers are wet, and I can't open this film foil package because my fingers are wet and slippery. Next time I have to remember to bring a pair of scissors or a knife or something with me so I can open these foil packages. Finally managed to reload my camera with another roll of Ilford Delta 400. 7 more frames to go and then I'm ready to go home. I think 2 rolls or 1.5 rolls is enough for today. The longest shutter speed I can select on this camera is 1 second. And then there's the T option. And usually the T works so that you hit the shutter once to open the shutter and then you hit the shutter second time to close the shutter. However, with this camera the T doesn't work like that. First you hit the shutter to open it. And then when you advance the film, the shutter closes. But of course, when you start advancing the film, you have to touch the camera, and when you touch the camera, you will shake the camera, and that shake will transfer into your picture. And I have no idea who designed it that way. It's really ultra super stupid way to design the T shutter function. So this is how I use it. I first hit the shutter to open it, then I gently cover the lens with the lens cap, and then I advance the film to close the shutter, and that's how I hope I will not introduce any shake into my pictures. I haven't finished the roll yet, but I think it's time to take one more picture of this dead tree trunk again. Bit of a cliche, I know. And then I have to head back home because I think my camera is not handling this weather really well. The viewfinder is all fogged up. I can't see properly and focus properly through it anymore because of the moisture inside, I guess, and it doesn't really look that good. So I think I'm gonna just take one more picture and then go back home and see if my camera is actually working properly anymore. Also, one other thing, my light meter got stuck to the zipper of my raincoat. And how is this even possible? Anyway, the light meter stuck to my raincoat, says a 5.6 quarter of a second, and that's what we're going to use. Gotta be careful here because the ground is really spongy, and if I move, the camera will also move and shake all over the place. So let's now stand still and press the shutter. Quarter of a second. Yes. I think I'm gonna take another one just to make sure there's no camera shake in the picture because the ground is really spongy. If I move even slightly, the camera will shake. Could not resist these shiny wet leaves here. Gonna take at least one more picture of them. Wide open, f3.5, 1/15 of a second. Let's go. Yes. It's really difficult to focus through this viewfinder, this rangefinder viewfinder, because it's so fogged up and really hard to see where the focus patch is in the middle of the viewfinder. I have decided to finish up the roll. I have 2 or 3 more exposures left, and there are some more shiny wet leaves behind me, so at least 1 or 2 shiny leaf pictures, and then I'm done and ready to go home. This one is f16 and quarter of a second. There it is. And the film counter says 7, so I have 2 more frames left. No shiny leaves here, but we have these dead tree trunks again on the ground. So I'm gonna take my last 2 shots here. I'm gonna go for f22 and 4-second exposure time to maximize the depth of field. And there's no motion blur here in this picture. All these tree trunks are just lying there and not moving anywhere. I made it. I survived that pretty wet outing. But what about the camera? Did the camera survive? Is it still working as it's supposed to be? And what do I think about the pictures I captured? Before we go into that, may I remind you of our upcoming workshop, which takes place in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in the spring of 2026 or in the fall of 2026 if you happen to live in the southern hemisphere. Please check out this video for more details and the link down below to sign up. It's going to be 5 days of photography fun in a good company in a great photo-friendly city, and you're gonna come out as a better photographer, and that is a promise. Now let's get back to those pictures and back to this camera. I'm really happy with the first picture. It came out exactly how I pre-visualized it. I could have probably gone in a little bit closer to get a slightly better composition, but all in all, I'm happy with the first picture. The second one of the dead tree trunk also came out really nicely. I'm super happy with this one. It came out exactly how I pre-visualized it in my mind. I'm not sure what happened with this one. Maybe I was distracted by the light meter stuck to my raincoat, or maybe I was trying to do too many things at the same time, talking to the camera, taking pictures, or whatever. The negative is about a stop and a half underexposed, and I'm not sure what exactly happened here. That's why the picture is way too dark. There are absolutely no details in the shadows, but still it came out reasonably nice. Considering everything that happened with this particular picture. This is by far the worst of the day. There's simply not enough contrast between the branches in the foreground and the background. The tonality is too similar, and also the depth of field is not quite shallow enough to separate the branches from the background properly. However, the more I look at this picture, the more I like it. This one instead came out really nice and exactly the way I imagined it in my mind before I hit the shutter. There are some really nice details in those leaves. I like this a lot, and I'm really happy that I was able to pre-visualize it so well before I took the picture. Now the last one, there's nothing wrong with that. It looks like I imagined it would look before I took the picture, but it's nothing that special. Maybe I should have moved in closer for a tighter composition or something, but I'm still happy that I was able to pre-visualize it so well in my head. And of course, one very distracting thing was that the viewfinder was so full of moisture and fog that I really struggled to see anything through it, and that made composing really challenging. I used to be a commercial photographer from 1983 to 2017, and I shot film from 1983 to 2003 about, after which I went 100% digital. So I have plenty of experience with film. I have shot literally tens of thousands of rolls of film and thousands of sheets of large format in the past. However, 98% of my pictures were for clients. I shot catalogs, advertising, annual reports, editorials, newspaper work and stuff like that. And very few nature pictures or landscapes or things like that. And if I shoot anything in any kind of man-made environment, like in the city or any man-made environment, I can pretty well pre-visualize how the picture is going to come out. But now I realize that when I go into the forest, I struggle slightly to pre-visualize the outcome, which I find interesting, and it also proves one thing: there is always something new to learn about photography, no matter how experienced you are. And now the camera. What happened to the camera? Is it still working as it's supposed to be? And the answer is yes. As far as I can tell, it still works perfectly fine, and it did not suffer in that really wet environment in the forest. But next time I'll probably want to be a little bit more careful with this camera. I wouldn't want it to get so wet again, because obviously it's not meant for that kind of weather or for that kind of conditions. But it survived, and I can hardly wait for my next outing with this camera because it is absolutely a lovely thing. That's all I have for you in this video. And if you found this entertaining or helpful, please do consider supporting my channel. You can buy me a cup of coffee. There's a link down below for that if you don't live in Finland. And please also do check out the workshop, link down below. Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon in the next one.